Hello and welcome to my technically not first reaction, but first reaction that is supposed to be unrelated to any game. Kurzgesagt, in a nutshell. Check them out, they make really good videos. Let's jump right into one of them. We fell for the oldest lie on the internet. I have no idea what this is about, but I am always pleasantly surprised, positively surprised about their videos. So let's check that out.
Look at this fun fact. Did you know that your blood vessels taken together add up to 100,000 kilometers? And
I didn't know they are... Okay, I'm a cat, obviously, that's not the case for me. But I do know they are quite long.
enough to wrap them around the planet twice. One of our favorite fun facts used in our book and app and a video and... Wait. 100,000 kilometers is like a lot.
Yeah, 100,000. Isn't like from the North Pole to the equator 10,000? So 40,000 is one time around, and 80,000 then two times technically, and then 100,000 is 2.5 times. Shouldn't that be the case?
We've used it so often, but where did we get this number from? And how do we know it's true? Welcome to an epic research riddle that took us well over a year to figure out.
That's not a research on how much 100,000 goes around the Earth, but do humans actually have 100,000 kilometers of blood vessels?
It began extremely innocently. We always collect interesting and fun facts to make our stories more colorful. And this one was just perfect. All of your blood vessels twice around the world. Small thing, big number. Wow. But one day, someone asked where this number was actually from. You'll find the same numbers over and over. 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles.
Oh,
You find it in books,
is this
blogs,
like a story
web
like
pages
the inventor of the toaster thing, where some people just claimed that at some point and then it got referenced somewhere else and then they re-referenced it, the other source that referenced it, and it looped around? False sourcing or whatever?
of educational institutions, or lecture notes, reviews, scientific papers and articles. We ourselves have used it multiple times. So it couldn't be that hard to find the source, right? Most didn't give a source at all, some linked to each other. It seemed like the number was just accepted as a truism. Very weird. Even worse and more suspicious was that the number
Those animations, I love them.
was used inconsistently. Some said it's the total length of capillaries, some said it's just veins plus arteries, and others cited it as the length of everything put together. Getting our facts straight is critical for what we do here. We needed to find the original source and solve this research riddle.
That's interesting. Where do you start at such a problem? If everyone quotes the same facts all over and over again, and they they source each other eventually, because if 100,000 people claim that same fact, of course finding the original person who claimed that is kind of difficult, and then proving that it's true or wrong is even more, I guess.
There had to be an original source.
Yes.
Random Googling just turned up thousands of sites that quoted the number, no lead to the original. So we moved on to PubMed, a search engine for biomedical science papers. Nothing.
Can you Google search with reverse dates?
Okay, finally,
Or
we
something?
found a bunch of scientific papers, but still, not a single one referenced the original source. So we narrowed our search to the last few decades, starting with the 1990s. And would you look at that, we found two books, Vital Circuits by Stephen Vogel and Looking at the Body by David Suzuki. And it turned out Dr. Suzuki is an OG science communicator
That is 30 years ago.
with a PhD in zoology, who started doing popular programming in the 1970s on Canadian television. He has 29 honorary degrees and has written 52 books. Impressive. He may either be the original source or at least know what it is. So we ordered Looking at the Body to look for it, and
Is he
here it
still
is.
alive?
If all the body's blood vessels were laid end to end, they would stretch 96,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world. But again, no source. It turned out he's still around doing things in his late 80s, so we thought maybe if we asked Dr. Suzuki personally, he might know whether...
When did they actually start to use real pictures as backgrounds? I never really noticed. Wait, can I get this little plush ball? Maybe on the online shop or something.
Dear Dr. Suzuki, we're writing to you on a matter of grave importance. What is the original source for the 100,000 kilometers? Our internet video and our sanity depend on it. Pretty please. Respectfully yours, Kurzgesagt fact checkers.
Yeah, that's how you write emails these days.
3 weeks later, we actually got a reply.
Oh.
Dear weird internet people. Unfortunately, Dr. Suzuki does not recall the source of this data. And since the book was written over 30 years ago, he doesn't have files that old available to look it up. Good luck with your project. You're going to need it.
Another dead end.
Public Information Coordinator. Okay, they didn't quite use these words and were actually really nice, but still, bummer. Maybe the 1992 popular science book by Stephen Vogel, a Duke University biomechanics professor, would be more helpful. Unfortunately, there's only a list of 93 references and sources with no indication where in the book they're pointing to. Our original source may be in one of the papers, books, and articles in this list.
It's still better than no source at
Reading
all.
all of those would take weeks. Was this really worth it?
I mean, how many sources are out there? Billions? Trillions, maybe? Not for that now. But having it down to 90 is already a strong cut. Still, a lot of work. I agree. For someone, me, who never really done any intense research, that's insane.
And now, for a change, we just got stupidly lucky. For no particular reason, we decided to check the sources from last to first. And it turned out the very source we checked first was what we were looking for. A Scientific American article from 1959, The Microcirculation of the Blood.
59?
So we got a scan of this 65-year-old science magazine, and there it was. But this was still not the original source. But it did reference where it got the number from. The Anatomy and Physiology of Capillaries, a 1922 book by August Kroll, winner of a Nobel Prize for Medicine. Bingo, we got the original source. The book is a collection of Kroll's lectures and was highly praised by experts at the time. It summarizes his research and adds new experiments, ideas, and hypotheses.
Frog, horse, dog. Approximate weight in kilos. Muscle capillaries per square millimeters. Poor frogs are tiny. Even per square millimeters. That should be this, I mean, assuming we have just a small horse, it should be the same as a normal sized frog. But no, the frog is actually has actually way less muscles. Okay. And the dog has more, or is that by the horse a 4,400? Or 1,400? I'm not sure.
The original source, used thousands of times for over a century. Supposing a man's muscles to weigh 50 kilograms and his capillaries to number 2,000 per square millimeter, the total length of all these tubes put together must be something like 100,000 kilometers, or 2.5 times round the globe, and their total surface 6,300 square meters. While other scientists had speculated on the length of all the capillaries before, Kroll was the first to make a real estimate based on real experiments. Something very solid. Okay, and now that we were here, was it correct? In a very breakthrough sciencey kind of way, Kroll just winged it. Today, we know that his assumptions about the density of capillaries in humans was quite off. On top of that, he used a kind of idealized bodybuilder human weighing 143 kilograms with 50 kilograms of pure muscle mass. And this finally...
I loved it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at science. How much off was he though?
Today, we know that his assumptions about the density of capillaries in humans was quite off.
But if they are 2,000, what were his assumptions?
On top of that, he used a kind of idealized
I hope they tell
bodybuilder human
still.
weighing 143 kilograms with 50 kilograms of pure muscle mass. And this finally gave him the very pleasing number of 100,000 kilometers. It would be unfair to blame Krull. This was just a small ancillary fact he probably calculated for fun and out of curiosity. At this point in our research, over a year had passed. So, just to be sure, we did another Google search and scientists quietly published a paper not really getting a lot of attention from anybody. They calculated a new number, a way more accurate estimate. If we had just waited another year, we could have saved doing all that work. So,
bummer.
now, here it is. According to the newest science, the length of all...
Is it... Okay. You guess, is it longer or shorter than 100,000 kilometers? Or 2.5 times around the Earth? I think if his calculations were far off and he idealized the human body. Now, does a trained human body has more length of veins or less? I guess less, because they are thicker, therefore they let through more blood and stuff. So I think it is higher, actually, higher than 100,000.
All the capillaries in a human is somewhere between 9,000 and 19,000 kilometers.
Okay, I'm way off.
Very impressive, but not enough to go around the world. A
No,
sort of
but
conclusion.
from North to South
If you
Pole.
look up the question today, you'll likely still not find the real answer. In all this time, why did nobody bother to double check this? Well, because the reality is it's extremely hard and time-consuming. It takes a lot of energy to get to the bottom of things, and a factoid is easily repeated, so misinformation can persist. When we
Yeah,
started this
that's a
research,
problem.
we didn't think we'd end up here. You,
But it
dear
is still
viewer,
a nice
got a little
number.
peek into the
It's
kind-
you can say it's from North Pole to the equator at minimum, and from North Pole to South Pole at maximum. Around that.
We're doing our best to correct misinformation, give more context, and to bring you the latest science on any topic we cover. See you next time. Challenging common wisdom and following the evidence can sometimes lead you to places you don't expect to end up.
What is
if
the
you want to
sponsorship?
do more good in the world, today's sponsor,
brilliant.
80,000 Hours, can help you on this journey. 80,000 Hours is a non-profit career advice organization that wants to help people find fulfilling careers
80,000
that
hours.
also do a lot of good in the world. And their advice is free, without any hidden cost or fee later on.
80,000 hours. Okay. I never heard of that before.
Turns out, following a well-known career path isn't your only option to achieve that goal. The time you'll spend on your career is probably your biggest opportunity to have an impact. If you want to make the most of it, join the newsletter now and get a free copy of their in-depth career guide sent to your inbox. Just
Yeah,
sign up at
do that.
80,000hours.org/in-a-nutshell.
Great. That was that. Let's now figure out how to cut that down for a YouTube thingy.